Okay, thank you. First of all, what's the relevance of this topic? Because, of course, it's a very exciting topic and a very exciting debate which goes on for quite a long period of time. But if we first decide why should we spend time during this session of Communist University in London now on that particular topic, we have to see also its relevance in terms of political strategies and in terms of understanding the current social and political problems, so that it goes beyond the academic historical debate. And we started formulating the topic of today's debate, focusing it on Russia, though, in fact, of course, Russia was never seen as the model for the Asiatic mode of production. At the same time, it was exactly because of that. In Russia, there was always a very serious debate to which extent the term could be applicable to Russian history. But anyhow, if we are speaking about the Asiatic mode of production as it was described by Marx, and as it was actually in many ways borrowed by Marx from previous Western writers, though without the term mode of production, but in, the whole concept of Asiatic despotism or Asiatic society as being of a different kind compared to the European society, that comes from the 18th century. And I just recently tried to discover where the term came from. And on the one hand, it came from English reports from India, which were very actively quoted and used by Karl Marx. So these were mainly the documents, reports, letters, dispatches from British East Indian Company, which characterized local society and tried to show that the society was completely different from the European society, and also stressing the point that that society was based on despotic rule, and that despotic rule also neglected the property rights. And in that sense, it was the state which was kind of controlling everything, including every major aspect of production. And then, of course, the state itself was not subject to any kind of law, control, not to speak about civil society and so on. And then already in the 18th century, there was a very interesting debate in Gentleman's Magazine in London, where they discussed the origins of Asiatic mode of production. So already around that time, it was not just a purely ideological explanation. They were coming gradually to the idea that it had something to do with production. So Asiatic despotism, the Oriental despotism, as they described, they started seeing the relevance of, say, certain agricultural structures and organization. First of all, irrigational process, the process of the organization of irrigation by the state. So huge huge spaces which should be irrigated and organized, so you need strong state taking care of production. And by the way, British came to that idea also after a terrible disaster, which was very much of their own making, which was the Bengal famine of 1770, I think 7 or something. Well, in 1770s anyhow. The Bengal famine led to mass loss of lives, and even British themselves, they spoke about like probably 2 million or 3 million people who died. In fact, probably the number of victims was less because, well, all these reports tended to exaggerate, but nevertheless it was a major disaster which partly resulted from the neglect shown by the English administration in Bengal towards the whole process of irrigation and so on. And the other source of this theory is of course, French Enlightenment, which kept using the term Oriental despotism as a kind of justification of its own ideas of freedoms, human rights, respect towards property rights, and so on. And so it was basically like saying, okay, you're not in Turkey here, you're in France. So if you don't want to be like Turks, like barbaric Turks, or, by the way, barbaric Persians, that was also in the Encyclopedia of Diderot d'Alembert. They spoke about barbarian rule in Persia and India. So they had three countries which they mentioned as examples of Oriental despotism. And of course, then it was a kind of paradigmatic appeal to the French government, to the European rulers, saying, well, if you don't want to be like these barbarians, you have to respect human rights, property rights, and so on. However, that debate became very relevant in Russia in the 1900s, because the big question was whether Russian society was feudal, Asiatic, or European. And in that sense, the whole set of political positions emerged. Because, in fact, if you see the basic core of the society, the traditional roots of the society as being part of that long-term, very conservative, self-reproducing, barbaric Asiatic structure, as they call it, Asiatic. By the way, Lenin made a distinction, said, I should call Russia an Asiatic society unless I get afraid to offend the Japanese. Anyhow, so that was the kind of debate. So if you see the society in that way, so any kind of capitalist development, any bourgeois modernization, should be presented in a very positive light, because it is very much about breaking the old conservative tradition, breaking the barbaric, undemocratic structures in the society itself, opening it up for democratic development, for the emergence of civil society, and in the long run also for the emergence of the left, of the labor movement, of the trade unions, and in the long run towards socialism. So, however, that kind of political logic led Mensheviks and some other Russian left-wingers to the need to establish a united or rather popular front with the liberals, with the bourgeois forces. Because as long as you see the society as being so conservative and being reproducing the barbarian forms of despotism kind of automatically, bourgeois development looks like a necessary positive change. And that looks very much like a proper interpretation of Marx himself. Because, as I told you before, Marx in his writings on India also was, in a way positive about British Raj. Though very critical of British Raj from the moral point of view, from the human point of view, but saying, okay, it served the needs of progress. So in that respect, you can see bourgeois forces in Russia in 1917 as being progressive, and within this logic, it would be quite natural for the socialists, for social democrats and Marxists, to have an alliance with the liberals and with the bourgeois parties to break through and to create the preconditions for social and economic progress along European lines.